Part of the reason why this was such a shock to so many White House staffers, the debate performance on Thursday, is because they didn't really see him with great frequency. Biden's inner circle that he sees on a day-to-day basis in close quarters is really only about 20 people.
Well, those same White House staffers and some senior White House advisors are now speaking to the press about what is transpiring with Joe Biden behind the scenes in the White House. So let's get into that reporting, because Politico had a pretty damning piece, including a statement from a senior Biden administration official who said the following: "It's like, you can't handle that will set him off," meaning just relaying information to Joe Biden that he might not like, or put that in, he likes that. It's a Rorschach test, not a briefing, because he is not a pleasant person to be around when he's being briefed. It's very difficult and people are scared crapless of him.
Yeah, so guys, this is another part of the theater. We tell you all the time, politicians are basically actors. It's the donors that are directing the play. And they put on this giant play about who they are. So the story I tell often is of Fred Thompson, former senator from Tennessee, also was a literal actor like Ronald Reagan, right? And he would have this shtick that he does where he would have a red pickup truck. And the press would carry pictures and video of him driving, doing canvassing in his pickup truck. He would drive a limo to the pickup truck and a limo back from the pickup truck, and the press would never report it.
You mean he'd ride a limo?
Yeah, of course, right. He wouldn't drive it, he'd ride it, right? And the press is like, oh, look at Fred Thompson in his red pickup truck. I'm like, but you guys saw the limo. Why are you writing that? So here we have a similar situation where they have Joe from Scranton. He's a kid from average Joe from Scranton. Brother, he lived in Scranton like 70 years ago. He's lived in DC right in front of our eyes. We all saw him as a senator, vice president, president. He is maybe the most establishment politician in history. Like, it's between him and Hillary Clinton, right?
He's literally a career politician.
Yeah, and George Bush. I mean, he is, when you think of career politician, it's Joe Biden. Yeah. But the theater is, what a sweet guy. And he's so empathetic. And he's just a regular Joe from Scranton. He loves to take the train, did you know that? Okay, this is all theater, guys. Behind the scenes, he's a cranky old dude who is, the guys, they said they're scared S-less of him, right? Because he's constantly yelling, he's mean, you can't tell him things that are true. By the way, some of which reminds me of Trump, where you couldn't tell him bad news.
That is okay, I was thinking about the same thing. About how, you kind of hide the negative headlines from Trump and you only show him the positive, glowing media reviews of the job he's doing. How is this any different? Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team. That same senior Biden administration official told Politico he doesn't take advice from anyone other than those few top aides, and it becomes a perfect storm because he just gets more and more isolated from their efforts to control it. And so they have created a bubble around Biden, and I'm uncertain as to whether or not he has any firm grasp of reality. It seems like he's completely delusional, not only because of his mental state, but because of what those closest to him are doing in hiding the truth or shielding him from the truth.
This feels like a Game of Thrones episode.
Right.
Where you've got the Mad King or just a clueless king.
I would say clueless. I don't see him as a mad king. And by the way, I think that his cantankerous nature probably has something to do with his mental decline. Because,
of course.
I mean, look, people who are going through dementia or Alzheimer's, it's very frustrating when you forget things, when you don't feel like you have control over your own mind. And so they get real cranky about it. So look, I don't think that Biden is necessarily just inherently a bad person or mean person. I think that it is a symptom of what he is going through cognitively.
I know some people are gonna get mad at me because there's so much mythology about Joe Biden and how the Democrats are the good guys and the Republicans are the bad guys. The Republican politicians are definitely the bad guys. But Democratic politicians, brothers and sisters, But Joe Biden used to be known as the senator from MBNA. That's a credit card company. That's how corrupt he was. Everybody knows all he does is represent the donors. So like this whole thing of like him being sweet, really? Was he sweet when he was watching 15,000 children get slaughtered in Gaza? And thought, yeah, but I got $11.2 million from AIPAC, so I'm good with it. Was that sweet?
I know, yeah.
None of this is sweet.
No, you're making a great point. By the way, this just broke per the Washington Post. Biden was at a fundraiser in McLean, Virginia on Tuesday, today, and he expressed confidence as he downplayed his debate night struggles. This is a direct quote. "I wasn't very smart. I decided to travel around the world a couple of times, going through I don't know how many time zones. For real, I think it's 15 time zones. I didn't listen to my staff, and then I came back and nearly fell asleep on stage. At any rate, that's no excuse, but it is an explanation."
Yeah, no, it's not. You had a week to prepare for the debate. It's not like you didn't have enough time to prepare. And now also blaming the staffers. The staffers didn't make him 81 years old. And the staffers aren't the ones that are necessarily saying that he should stay in the race. He's making that decision along with the first lady. Let's be honest about it. So yeah.
By the way,
and I think the first, sorry, Anna, as we said earlier in the show, I think the first lady is keeping him sequestered from everyone else. And so you're seeing in now his own staff leaking, going, God, we can't even see him and we can't tell him bad news. So as I've been saying throughout the show today, it's not just that they're keeping Biden away from the rest of us, they're keeping the rest of us away from Biden. So Biden doesn't find out how bad it is.
So let me just note that as he kind of, he says, I should have listened to my staff. They gave me advice and I ignored it. I was so exhausted. Well, some of his staffers came forward to talk to Politico and said that they weren't even aware that Biden had agreed to 2 debates with Trump. And so one of the staffers says, everyone was told Biden debating Trump was for the best, said a White House staffer. Now it's the worst possible outcome, and we're all trying to figure out why the people who know him best and make all the decisions didn't seem to anticipate that this might happen.
I think they might have. I have a crazy theory on that. You want to?
Is it that conspiracy theory that this was the plan all along to push Biden out?
No, I wouldn't say that it's a conspiracy theory, but one day we're gonna find out who made that fateful decision, who was the #1 driving force to put this debate so early, because it is unprecedented. They never have debates before the conventions. So somebody on the Biden team made that decision, and my guess is they're an American hero. My guess is they knew and that it would give enough of a buffer that it would be last chance saloon. You still have one more shot to replace him either before or during the convention. So whoever that was, whether it was an accident or especially if you meant it, thank you on behalf of the country.
So there's more. Reporter Alex Thompson from Axios shed more light on how White House staffers were basically kept in the dark in regard to Biden's overall health. I'm not talking about his top advisors. I'm talking about, rank and file White House staffers. So let's take a look at that.
Biden's inner circle that he sees on a day-to-day basis in close quarters is really only about 20 people. Now, of course, people come in and out, which is why, and sometimes they would see a verbal gaffe here or there. One person recounted that, Biden was talking about calling the mother of a congresswoman, and then the aide had to remind them that he had actually already called them a few weeks ago. But those are sort of brain farts that could be dismissed as one-offs, but because the circle was so small, they didn't really realize the significance of how much he had slipped.
Oh, that's devastating. And by the way, a Democratic strategist or operative close to the Biden campaign told Politico, quote, "The fact is there wasn't an open dialogue about whether he should run except for the people who would benefit from him running."
100%. And remember, the entire campaign, their job depends on him staying in the race. Whoever the new candidate is not going to hire the great majority of those people. So they have a financial incentive to lie to you. Don't forget that. And I wanted to add one thing here because it's so relevant to all of this. Because they made this theater up for you, this mirage that made you think that even though he looks like he's a mess, all these people in authority are telling me that he's not, right? So I guess I must be wrong. That's classic gaslighting, right? Remember, just a couple of weeks ago, Joe Biden said that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. Now, I know Joe Biden says a lot of crazy stuff throughout his career, not just at this late stage, right? So people are like, oh, it's that other Biden gaffe. And I said at the time, because I'm fair, right? Said, imagine if Trump had said that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. Everybody would lose their minds. They'd be like, this freaking lunatic. Lunatic, you think your uncle was eaten by cannibals and you said that out loud? And by the way, in case you're wondering, of course Joe Biden's uncle wasn't eaten by cannibals. He said he was shot down in World War I. He wasn't even shot down, let alone eaten, okay? So I don't know if that's classic Biden or late stage Biden, but these are things that should have caused concern. Whether he has a mental health problem or not, that is an outrageous, lunatic statement for a presidential candidate. Okay, one last one. Imagine if RFK Jr. had said, my uncle was eaten by cannibals.
I mean, he might at some point.
Okay, but everybody would have said, oh, he's crazy, he's crazy. Yeah. But when Biden says it, all of American media says, don't worry about it, ignore it, it doesn't mean anything. Perfectly fine. If those guys say we hate him, they're the worst, they're all lunatics. If Biden says it, he's great for corporate donors, so don't just totally ignore it, he's totally fine. That's why we were honest with you guys, he's not totally fine. This was a train wreck waiting to happen.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.